Hello everyone. Let's jump into our first video in the Q&A series. We've got an important question that's been asked by users many times over the last year or so. It involves this data shown on the dashboard screen and the information on the map. More specifically, how do I know that I'm getting the most recent rig information when I use the Enverus Rig's mobile app? So whether that's on the dashboard in the form of counts, deltas, and trends, or on the map in the form of locations, you're basically saying, I need to know that I'm getting reliable and accurate count information, and if I'm going to drive to a location miles away from my starting point, I need to know that there's going to be a rig there when I get there. The other aspect is needing to know that the attribute information we're providing, like contractor name, operator name, spud date, depth, and other important fields, are correct. Actually, this can be quite a complex answer, so I'm going to try and solve this and answer it in a succinct way. And just know that if you have comments or questions I'm not addressing, just reach out to me. Contact details are at the end of the video. So before the answer, a couple of caveats to be aware of. First, as you all know, rigs move. They move all the time, so we're not going to get it right 100% of the time, even though that's our goal. For that reason, we encourage everyone to call ahead if they can, just to verify before they drive significant distances, especially if the rig's spud date is older than you expect or something doesn't look right on the card view for the rig or permit. Another thing to point out that we sometimes get wrong is the operator company name. If there's been a recent change of ownership on the lease of wells, that can happen. We pull this information from forms filed with the regulatory bodies, and that info can sometimes lag, so a name can change and not be reflected in the app right away. So be aware of that if you're targeting certain companies. Just remember that even though we have a lot of business rules in place to make sure data in our apps is cleansed, if you will, wrong information can sift through just because of the nature of how forms are filed with the various commissions and how that data gets into the app. So those are the things to be aware of. Now let's dig into some of the things that we do on our end to get this data right for you. Number one, we have GPS devices on the vast majority of rigs out there. Those are exclusive relationships that give us the most accurate locations in the business. Those devices activate and give us lat-long locations once per day. Now that's early in the morning, so keep in mind that rig can move after we receive that once-a-day ping. So it becomes even more important to call ahead if you're visiting sites midday and into the afternoon. If you don't have phone numbers, try out the phone icon beside the permitted operator and or the drilling contractor. Number two, it's important to note that we don't only rely on GPS devices. We have a dedicated staff called the Rig Data Team that will call through contractor-provided rig location data that we receive regularly to make sure we're not missing anything. Even though that's a cumbersome process, it helps us make sure we get those locations right for you. Those are human eyes on the data, constantly improving and correcting potential errors before they hit the app. Lastly, I'd like to point out what to do if you do see inaccurate info in the app. We've got this button on the map here that you can use to bring up a form, which when sent goes directly to the data team so that they can fix errors. This way, your coworkers can take advantage of you improving the database. And you can always contact support who'll get started right away on resolving errors you find in our data as an alternative method. As always, we welcome your feedback and additional questions, whether it's in the survey that goes out quarterly in the app or whether you email or call us directly. Thanks for watching.